1984 Donruss champions Bert Blyleven saw the future. The Baseball Hall of Fame is a tough nut to crack. Tell you something you don't already know, right? But I don't mean it's difficult for players to achieve Cooperstown enshrinement, though it undoubtedly is. No, what I mean is that it's really hard for us fans or writers or players or whatever you might be to figure out who should be in the Hall of Fame. Sure, some of the choices are clear. Willie Mays in, Von Hayes out, though it pains me to say that. But there are some in-between guys who either played for a long time and put up big overall numbers because of it, or guys who didn't play all that long but were fairly blistering in their primes. In that first group, you have dudes like Tommy John and Harold Baines. In that second group, you'll find the likes of Albert Bell and Sandy Koufax. And then, of course, there are the pariahs. Guys who have somehow or another alienated a large swath of fans or voters. Guys like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Pete Rose, Curt Schilling, Vince Coleman. Okay, maybe Coleman has other issues affecting his Hall of Fame candidacy. On top of all that, you have shifting ideas about what makes a great player. More and more modern evaluators of all types don't care much about things like batting average, runs batted in, ERA, or pitching wins. At the same time, sabermetrics has helped establish new standards with strange names like wins above replacement, WAR, OPS plus, ERA plus, defensive runs saved, and on and on. Above it all, the picture is messy. But that also makes it fun. I mean, we're no longer just debating whether Mike Trout is better than Mickey Mantle, but also the relative merits of Jim Rice and Bobby Grich. Did Rice's dominance in the late 1970s and early 1980s in traditional areas like home runs and RBIs trump Grich's long-term excellence when viewed through a more analytical lens? So today, I'm challenging myself with talking about a card of a player who made it to the Hall of Fame. I could have taken the easy route and picked out a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie or some archly beautiful Frank Thomas card from the 1950s or 60s. But as great as those players were, they weren't all that fun when it came to Hall of Fame because everybody knew forever that they'd both slide right in. You want a guy who made the debate really fun? One of the first I can remember is Bert Blyleven. A quick rundown of Blyleven's major league resume reveals 22 years spread among 5 different franchises, a 287 to 250 record with a 3.31 ERA, 3,701 strikeouts over 4,970 innings, a single 20-win season, 1973, 3 top 5 Cy Young Award finishes, 1984, 1985, 1989, but no top 2 finishes. 430 home runs allowed, including 50 in 1986 and 46 in 1987. A World Series championship with the 1987 Minnesota Twins, a 1.198 career whip, 118 career ERA plus, 95 career WAR. Basically, on the surface, Blyleven falls into that Tommy John, Harold Baines class of players who stuck around forever and consequently piled up a bunch of numbers. But those last 3 tell us something else. They tell us that Blyleven was more than just an accumulator. He was an elite pitcher for 2 decades, at least by sabermetric standards. In fact, Jaws has Blyleven as the 16th greatest starting pitcher ever, nestled right in between Phil Niekro and Steve Carlton, and far, far ahead of inductee Jack Morris. Like Morris, though, Blyleven had to wait a long time to get the Cooperstown call. In fact, it took him 14 full turns through the electorate, finally gaining enshrinement in 2011. But Blyleven didn't have to wait that long to get his due from everyone. In 1984, Donruss completed their breakthrough set, you know, the one with the Don Mattingly rookie card, with a couple of oversized issues. First, Action All-Stars returned for a second year, and Blyleven was included. More pertinent for this discussion, though, B-Home Blyleven also found his way into the 60-card Donruss Champions issue. That set showcased then current players who excelled in one phase of the game or another, then compared them to all-time leaders in that category. For instance, Mike Schmidt was paired with Hank Aaron, since both gents knew a thing or two about home runs. Blyleven drew an even tougher comparison partner, as Donruss linked him on the career strikeouts list with the great Walter Johnson. Admittedly, Blyleven's stats looked anemic there in black and white, underneath those of the big train. The Dutchman would indeed eventually surpass Johnson's mark of 3,508. And while that Donruss card does mention Blyleven's otherworldly curveball, it doesn't touch on another area where he was at least within Johnson's universe: shutouts. While Johnson finished with an out-of-reach 110, Blyleven stands ninth in the all-time list at 60, just one behind Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan for pitchers who began their careers after 1960. So, is Blyleven in Walter Johnson's class as a starting pitcher? Of course not. But he's not as far removed as you might think on an average full day of hyperbole around players with bigger names. And Blyleven is absolutely a deserving Hall of Famer and a champion.